Hello and welcome to the physics lab. Today we're going to talk about measuring current. This is the one part that's probably one of the more difficult things for people to learn. Once they get it, it's easy after that. But it's important to make sure that you learn to do this right as early as possible, because this is also one of the few things that if you screw it up, you're going to break some of the equipment, particularly these multimeters. So this isn't for any particular lab, it's for multiple ones. And you're probably going to want to watch this a couple times and make sure you understand it, and also rehearse it too. Because if you get it wrong, you have to tell me, and at a certain point that's going to cost you points. Alright, so let's talk about this. What I have here is I've got this set up here. This is just a series circuit, not set up for any particular experiment, and I'm going to show you how to measure current. Now, one thing I couldn't find is I couldn't find any shorter cables. All I got were these long cables. We got some real short ones, about yay long, but I couldn't find them. So we'll just have to deal with the longer ones for now. We got a multimeter, all right, and we have our multimeter probes. So what we do is you always hook the black into the COM port. Easy enough. Now when you're measuring current, what you do is you start off by putting it into the red one into the yellow port. There we go. Now where do we set this? Well, we're going to set it to measure, look here, this is DC current and this is AC current. We're only going to be measuring DC current, so we're going to put it all the way over here to 20. That's 20 amps unfused. Now that's important because at this point you really can't break it, because we don't have anything with enough that can put out enough current more than 20 amps. In fact, if you look at our power supply right here, it's putting out 0.02 amps now, or 20 milliamps. Now we're going to move it over to here eventually, and I don't know if you can read that or not, but it says 200 milliamps max. That means if we go above 200 milliamps on here, we need a new fuse, and Greg has to take it apart and put it back together. So we don't want to do that. So we put that into the yellow. We set that on 20. What else do we have to do? Well, we have to turn it on. Now, how do we measure current? Well, current is not like measuring voltage. With measuring voltage, you just take the two probes and you put them anywhere and you can measure voltage and nothing bad can happen. Now, when you measure current, you have to remove a wire. Let's say we wanted to measure the current going through this resistor right here. Well, then we'd have to remove the wire either before it or immediately after it. It doesn't matter which one, because the same current that goes through into it has got to come out. It's like, water going down a pipe. If a certain amount goes into the pipe, so that same amount has to eventually come out. All right. So let's take a wire out. Well, first again, let's make sure we're down below 0.2. That's the first thing you do. All right. Or maybe not the first, but the next thing. And now we take a wire out. Put this down because I need two hands. Alright. One wire out. Now if we look at the power supply right now, it says that it's putting out 0 amps. Why? Because we broke the circuit. There's no current that goes through here because all the current was going to come out of this wire. It doesn't have anywhere to go. So now we're going to take our current probes and we're going to stick one of them here and one of them there. In other words, we removed a wire and we're replacing it with our current probes. Both ends. A wire has two ends. See? 1, 2. 1, 2. Two ends. Our current probe has two ends. 1, 2. All the way over here though. Alright, and what we did is we took that wire out, the one that went from here to here, and we put this in its place. Just like that. Now if we look at our current meter right now, it says 0.02, which matches what the output of the power supply says. Now it's always going to be less than or equal to this, because if we were measuring just part of the circuit, it might be less. But we should never see a current on here that's greater than the current on there. That would be bad. Okay, so this means that we're doing good. Okay, so we want to get more accurate measurements, so we go to the unfused input. The fused input. So we take it out of here, and we put it to there. Now it says we have 0.04 amps. Is that right? No, it's not. The reason is because we have to change this dial here to 200 milliamps. Now it says we have 18 amps? No. That's, if you look at it, there's a little MA right up there, which you may or may not be able to see, saying we have 18 milliamps or 0.018 amps. This is important because it's showing you that this is more accurate than when we had it on the unfused input. The unfused input is good to make sure that you're below 200 milliamps, but this is better for a more accurate answer. Okay, so let's go over this one more time here. The wire that we took out, this one right here, went from here to here. We took out the wire, which is hard to do one-handed, by the way, and we replaced it with the two ends of our current probe. One here and one there. Now originally we had it on the 20 amp unfused input right there, and then when we saw that it was below below 0.2, we moved it to here and we got a more accurate answer. Now let's put that back, and then let's pretend we're trying to measure the current through the next resistor. Now if you know what the answer is, you can skip ahead to the end of the video. Now if we wanted to measure through the current through this resistor, we either have to look at it in this wire before it or this wire after it. Okay? Doesn't matter which one. Let's take the black one this time. We did red last time. Alright, and again, because we broke the circuit, there's no way for the current to get all the way back to the power supply. The total current dropped back down to 0. The voltage is still 10 volts, but there's no current going anywhere. And let's put the current probes here and here. I've already set it to 20 amps and on the unfused input. And if I look here, I've got 0.1. That seems a little high. What did I forget to do? Oh, I see. I forgot to put it right back down here to 20 amps. Alright, so we got to make sure that that's in place. Now it's still saying, negative 0.01. Why would we get a negative answer? Well, it turns out that the only thing you have to do to make sure it's positive is to change the positions of the probe. And now if you look at it, it's 0.02. And what it probably was, it was negative 0.017, and it just cuts off the last digit and rounds everything up. So we got 0.02 again. Now we move it over to the fused input, and we move that to 200 milliamps, and we get 18.1 milliamps. And that's how you measure current. Now some things that you don't do. These are things that you should never, ever, ever do when measuring current. Let's say you didn't take one. Oh, I just want to know what the current going through this wire here is. So I'm just going to put my current probes right here, like that, across on these two here. No, 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 no. Don't do that. You will blow things up if you do that. Okay? I don't know if you can see what I'm doing very well. Don't do that. Don't do it across a resistor like this. This is bad. If anybody tells you to do this, tell them they're nuts. Okay? I'm not actually touching it. I'm just getting close. Alright? That's how you measure voltage. And that'll work if we were trying to measure the voltage across this resistor. But if you're trying to measure current, poof. Okay? Now one more thing, and I always just point this out. Every once in a while somebody will tell me, no matter what I do, the answer on my multimeter doesn't change. And if we look here at this, why would that be the case? Well, what's happened in this case, no matter what I do, it's not going to change. I could even blow it up, it's still not going to change, as it turns out. See that thing that says hold? What that's doing is it's holding the last data point. And that's this button right here. So make sure you don't have that on, or else it'll give you the wrong answer. Again, also, make sure you have these on the right spots. The black is always on COM. When you're measuring current, the red goes to here first and then to here. If you're measuring voltage, it goes over to here. In fact, it has things on here like you can see volts, ohms, hertz, and these ones here are just for current. So make sure you do that right. Make sure you know how to measure current. Practice it. It's important. And I will see you in the physics lab.